special meeting, February 23rd, 2021.
We've been hearing about the investigation into what has been done to our children, the abuse and the sexual assault on our children from Mr. Frazier, which everyone has known that it's not alleged anymore. It actually happened, and it happens to be a relative of Monty Small, as well as the Mr. LaQuetta Small, and it's just continuously we're not getting no answers and no transparency. One example: this meeting here, will it be held and would it be before the public like it used to be on Channel 2 or 97? I don't know, but that's a question. The other thing, when are we going to get some answers? This is like a cover-up. I understand some of your board members might have some conflicts in it, but at the same time, it's about our children right now. And we take that very serious for somebody to be talking about investigating, getting somebody off of a board that's volunteering, you don't get paid for it, but yet we continue to see lawyers get paid for one and not investigating what's going on with our children being abused. I mean, that's kind of hypocritical right now. That's more important. You're there for our children. We want you to speak up for our children. We expect you to vote in the right way for an investigation to continue and for us to have the right leadership as a superintendent for this entire district. After all, it's our taxpayer money. You're not there with your own pocket. This should not be a dictatorship. We need to have some transparency, and we're asking for it now. So again, I've asked for months for those answers to the questions. I emailed them on December the 20th. Here it is on February the 23rd. No answers about the transparency and what happened with Mr. Frazier while he was working for the school district and may have abused some of our children, because after all, thousands of videos as well as pictures went all over the world with our children, and nobody's saying anything about it. But our children have been abused and neglected, and how many of them got some help right now? That is a major concern. And I don't care whether you're the mayor, the governor, or the president of the United States. You do not have the right to not stand up for our children and to cover up anything. And I'm saying that to our mayor as well as anybody else. And do not let a lawsuit put a gag order over none of you as board members that was voted for from the people in the community. That's what I have to say, and I would like some response to the questions.
Mr. Young, at this time, this board has some issues that we can't really discuss this in public session, some of the questions that you want. However, I know you personally, and I will give you a phone call tomorrow and get to the bottom of the questions that you have that you sent in and try to get you some clarity on those and fill you in a little bit on the progress that we made hopefully tonight.
That's a shame that, my questions not being answered correctly and out front. And it's a shame that your board members are sitting there and allowed to happen. And no human being should be allowing this to happen to our children, to sit back and not stand up for them. So we're not going to continue to let that happen. There's a lot of parents is involved as well as some of the children. And we're going to make sure they get some help one way or another. And it's a shame that people will sit back like some of you are doing right now and try to dictate and intimidate the people that's standing up and speaking up. But we're not going anywhere. That's all I have to say at this moment. Thank you for your time, and all of you accountable, because now you know.
If I can address my question to you. At the last board meeting, you stated that there were 3 finalists. I'd like to know how many candidates were in total clients, how many were selected to be interviewed, and how many of those were minorities. Oh, and one final question. How many people applied from the Atlantic City Public School District administrative pool?
Yes.
Hey, I've gotten some people from the public who said that they weren't allowed to participate, but mostly, it's just, people said that they weren't afforded the opportunity to sign up. And Mr. Young, I got to say that, I can't come out and say whether or not I agree with your stance. I did get a lot of feedback from the public that stated they wish that since this issue was brought up, and it was held in open session to begin with, why it's being discussed in closed session now, and I can't answer that. And also, under the Open Public Meetings Act and the relaxations that have been put in place under COVID, it's been urged by the state government as well as on a federal level that any issues that need to be held in closed session, unless absolutely necessary, should be delayed until it can be done in person because of the possibility that somebody could be recording the closed session from home and sharing it with other people. I know that's definitely a concern that I have. So, that's all I got. Also, before we move to go into closed session, in addition to those comments, I also have to say that while we're speaking about the Open Public Meetings Act, I believe that Mr. Hussein is also afforded the same protections under Rice that an employee is, even as a public official. And it's my understanding that he has not been Riced or given the opportunity to have that option. And I just want to put that out there because in the future, if, for the target of any litigation, I want to make sure that everybody's well aware of this beforehand. That...
Thank you, Mr. Herbert. At this time, I need a motion to go into closed session. Motion by Ms. Byard. Second by Ms. Daly.
Hey, I'm sorry, I got to jump in there too. I want to know, Mr. Young, if you're still on, were you afforded the opportunity to go into chambers?
Excuse me. We have a vote on the floor to go into closed session.
No, I was not.
Okay. Hey, Shay, last time when we were voting, remember when we were voting to...
Hello?
Yeah, you on?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Again, I'm being muted.
Yes,
So last time we had a...
You're being very disrespectful. You're being very rude.
Yeah, Donnie, stop muting me.
You're
Okay.
being very rude, Officer Herbert.
Don't call me Officer Herbert. I'm here as an elected official, okay? You were afforded the same opportunity during the last vote. You were afforded the same opportunity.
Motion on the floor to go into executive session, have a movement. In a second, may I have a vote, Ms. Brown?
Motion to go into closed session for approximately how long?
I think it's probably going to take it out. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes, it is my position that it will be approximately 2 hours, and for purposes of the public, the only people that are entitled to Rice notification are employees. That being said, once again, it is still my position as the solicitor of the board that Farouk Hussein does not reside in the city of Atlantic City, and he will not be permitted in executive session. Thank you. Oh, the issues to be discussed are the tort claims notice, Marty Small and LaQuetta Small, the ESS contract, workers' compensation, Farouk Hussein, Mosamad Akhtar, the administration building, and the doctrine of necessity. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Avina? Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Byard? Mr. Chowdhury?
Yes.
Mr. Devlin?
Yes.
Mr. Herbert?
No.
Mr. Hussein?
Explain, Angie, please. What is that roll call?
Oh, it is a vote to go into executive session, Mr. Hussein.
Executive session or closed session?
Closed session, executive session.
Okay, my question is you and Miss Riley again.
We have a vote on the floor, Mr.
What effort she exclude me?
We have a vote on the floor.
I'm the elected official.
Shay, you were allowed to talk last time there was a vote on the floor. Now let him talk.
Calling the vote.
Look,
On the vote.
Mr. Shia Steele, you are the president.
You have to vote, yes or no. There's a vote on the floor.
Hello?
And that being said, Ms. Brown, again, in this meeting, Farouk Hussein is casting his vote. However, it is not to be counted. Thank you.
Miss Riley,
Another
you're doing
violation of civil rights.
completely illegally, Miss Riley. Again, look, whatever you're doing
Oh,
is
yes.
completely illegally. You are doing, you favor somebody here. You pay it for our tax money. Again, I'm saying, look, we are Atlantic City residents. We pay the tax.
Mr. Hussein, you're out of order.
Look.
Yes or no? And then we move forward. Ms. Brown?
Mr. Islam,
Yes.
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Steele.
Yes.
Thank you. We're in executive session. It is 6:19 p.m.
Hold up. We still,
Okay. Mr. Harris, hold on.
I'm getting ready to turn it over to Ms. Wallace.
Hey, guys, also, I spoke with Kazi. He said that he was running 10 minutes late, so he was having an issue with his phone.
By the way, I joined just now, just 30 seconds ago.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Islam. I got your response. Thank you.
This basically, when the committee comes out with a candidate, it gives the whole board the right to vote on such candidate.
What this is doing, this is suspending the discontinuation of the current superintendent search.
Thank you.
His question regarding this will give the board members the ability to vote that were unable to vote due to conflict?
Yes.
No, at this point, this is solely for the purpose of the discontinuation of the search. This has nothing to do with the voting of the superintendent down the line. It's currently the discontinuation of the search.
That's all it has to do with.
That's all it has to do.
Motion.
Motion by Mr. Steele,
Second.
seconded by Mr. Johnson. Okay. Mr. Avina,
Yes.
Mrs. Bailey,
Yes.
Mrs. Byard, Mr. Chowdhury,
Yes.
Mr. Devlin,
No.
Mr. Herbert, Mr. Herbert,
He's not on here, Andrew.
I think he left, Ange. I don't
he
see,
left.
I don't see his name.
Mr. Islam,
No,
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Steele.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Excuse me.
What you got next, Ange?
Next, we have under goods and services. Excuse me. Number 1 was pulled by Mrs. Riley. So we have number 2, which is the settlement agreement of Bruce Harper versus Atlantic City Board of Education, $5,075. And number 3 is to authorize the solicitor to file a motion for emergent relief for the removal of Farouk Hussein as an Atlantic City Board member. So that's goods and services 2 and 3.
I second resolutions 2 and 3.
Motion by Mrs. Bailey, seconded by Mr. Steele.
Yes.
Mrs. Bailey,
Yes.
Mrs. Byard,
yes,
Mr. Chowdhury, Mr. Chowdhury, Mr. Devlin. Hello?
Yes, sorry, and yes.
Oh, no, that's fine. Mr. Herbert, he left?
Yes. I think he left.
Okay. Mr. Islam,
no,
Mr. Johnson,
Yes.
Mr. Steele.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries. And then the last resolution we have
I don't
is
vote
to
on the
authorize...
last one.
Excuse me?
I said I don't, as a sending district, I don't vote on that.
My apologies, Mr. Urbina. I thought I heard you say yes. That's totally my fault.
No,
My
no,
apologies.
There you go. Okay. Yes.
Okay. I apologize. It's been a long night.
It's all right. Don't worry.
We'll get through it.
So the last resolution we have is to authorize the solicitor to file civil litigation against Farouk Hussein and Masamat Akhtar.
I move it.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Steele, seconded by Mr. Johnson. Okay. Mr. Urbina?
Yes.
Mrs. Bailey?
Yes.
Mrs. Byard? Did you say here or did you say yes?
She said yes.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Chowdhury? Mr. Devlin?
No.
Mr. Herbert left, okay. Mr. Islam?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
Yes.
Mr. Steele?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. It's a simple majority. Is that correct, Mrs.?
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Anything else, Ms. Riley? Ms. Riley,
Yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Steele, I couldn't hear you.
do you have anything else before we adjourn?
No, nothing further. Thank you very much,
I
everyone.
need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you, everyone, for your patience this evening. Stay safe and stay well.
Good night.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Night.
He makes us really, like, out of our character. Like, he's so ignorant. He's so, just, like, jump in. I don't say, like, excuse me, or, you know, I speak next. It's so indignant. He can't, he's supposed to be able to do it. So what I'm gonna do is,
Somebody is not muted.